You're moderator. No, you want me to moderate? I could moderate.
No, but we need to check with them. Yeah, that's what.
They did say that? Oh, they say that. That's good. You want to check that, please?
Yeah, I'll put it. How many speakers are here?
4 of us here.
All 4.
Yeah.
They're saying that you have to start on YouTube. Okay. So I'll just start on the slides.
Okay, no, that's fine. What if we're not doing slide forms because there are 4 of us? I'm just learning this one. Okay. Same topic. Yeah. So it's not like a there's no need for it because actually understand it. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this afternoon session after lunch. And I'm talking loudly to make sure everyone's awake. Yeah. So the panelists are here and they will take over from here. I'm Sandhya Rao from Bangalore. Yeah. Yeah.
Request all the speakers to introduce yourself and just say what you're speaking on so that it will be good for the audience to know what you're going to speak. I would request first Anu to talk.
Hi everyone, so I'm Krishna. I'm from Bangalore, India. And today I'm going to be speaking about recreating your self-identity. So I'm a life coach by profession. It gets only better because every day I get to meet new people, lovely people, work with them, learn more from them, get inspired, and that's what kicks me out of my bed every single morning because I know whom I'm going to meet in the morning, and that's something I really, really like. That really kicks me up. So today I'm going to be actually talking, like I said, recreating a self-identity. It's about you, what the identity that you carry, and how you can actually use that very powerfully to probably recreate, redesign your life the way you want. So thank you. I'll hand over the mic to the next speaker.
Hi friends, I'm Ridhi, Bahl. I'm an astrologer, a fortune teller. Right, so I also get a lot of people coming to me with a lot of problems. I'm sure all of us have, a lot of problems, different stages of life, different ages of life. The problems keep changing, but the problems still persist. Right? So here where, the problems come, when there is an identity crisis. So, how, by recreating our identity, we can overcome these challenges or problems in life. This is what I'm going to talk about.
I know we love a lot of claps. It just makes it, it just gets it going. I don't want to have an identity and say, oh my God, I'm a nervous woman. It's not going to help me this, right? Yeah, thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Meher, and jumping ahead and launching your own company. So I started my company about 4 years ago, and I'm 25 now. So then taking the leap of faith is what I'm going to talk about.
Hi, I'm Pooja Kumar. I'm the founder of Jogo app, which is a gamified health fitness app. And I started my entrepreneurial journey about 2 years back, but I've been an entrepreneur at heart for the past 10, 12 years now. And I'm going to start, I'm going to really talk about entrepreneurship. And I would say leaping up and starting up. That's what I'm going to talk about. Thanks.
I would request all the speakers to take 10 minutes to talk on your subjects. If you want a time watch, I request someone to just note the time and just give a hint so that, because we'll have some time for the question and answers also, like if we finish it in time. Anu, I will start with you.
I would love, for all the women to just give me a round of applause. It just keeps me going. Yeah. I'm like, I like this, okay? So this is something that I do day in and day out, okay? And first thing I tell people is, just give me the round of applause. It keeps me going. So what prompted me to actually pick out a topic of self-identity was one that when I start coaching, when I get into one-on-one coaching sessions, somewhere I thought that identity fuels a lot of what we do. Our behavior, our thought process, everything stems, comes from the way we talk, the inner dialogue. So today I am going to focus a lot on the monologue that we have with ourselves, within ourselves. So I'm going to give you a little example. Okay, I'm going to start with actually a woman who came to me, and I took special permission from her today, so I could speak about without naming her. So first thing she came and told me is, I said, okay, what do you do? And she said, I'm just a housewife. Okay. So the first thing, and we hear that a lot. I don't know how it is in the, across the globe, but here in India, it's like, oh, I'm just a housewife. And then the body is like drooping, your breath goes down, you slow down, and somewhere you're slumping. And I said, okay, and I just touched her and I said, okay, go back, let your lungs expand, okay, and say the same thing now. And she said, I'm just a housewife. I said, okay, drop the just. Okay, what happens? I am a housewife. She said, okay, that feels better. I said, okay, what else happens? She said, I don't know. I feel lighter here. I said, okay, something seems to be going right. And I said, next, I said, are you willing to replace it with another word? Do I have your permission to suggest a word? And she said, yes, go ahead. I said, just drop the housewife. And suppose you put that and say, I'm a domestic engineer. How does that feel? And she said, wow, it feels so good. So she said that a couple of times, and then she says, okay, I feel good. But is that just enough? Yes, words do create our identity. Okay, it's like you stem a lot of your thoughts and feelings, and that's what I keep saying. What you talk to yourself. The response in terms of your feelings is going to stem from what you're telling yourself every single day. So I know this, and I'm going to quote my own example of how when I was struggling with low self-esteem issues in my teenage, the first thing I told myself was, you know what, I'm not good enough. How many of us here do that? I'm not good enough. How many of us have faced that? I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty, I used to call myself I'm an ugly duckling, okay, because I had huge glasses, I had buck tooth, I had braces on them, and somewhat, I think there were a lot of curves around here, and I think I did struggle a lot. And what happened to me as a result is I would just coop myself at home, not want to make friends. Where was the identity after that? What was I doing? I had big dreams of doing this and that, but I think I lost many years not being able to do any of those things simply because I was given that identity from somebody else. That's what happens to us. We tend to listen more to people outside of us rather than ourselves. So I constantly keep saying, please take charge of what you actually take from others. You convert that for yourself. Say the things that keep you going. So here, if you see, this is something that I call the magic triangle of change. Your self-talk, what you're going to be telling is an internal dialogue to yourself. So I get up every morning, there's a ritual for myself. I stand in front of the mirror and say, hey beautiful, just go rock the day. And I do this every single day. I'm awesome, hey beautiful, go rock the day. And somewhat I see, my self-image. Something about myself just changes, I see myself more powerful. Okay, if when I'm asked what do you look at yourself as, I say, I feel like a lion, something more, very powerful. And that, in turn, obviously, my self-esteem, which is not just a word, it's a feeling. I feel awesome through the day. So when people ask, how are you like this constant, energy, bunny going around the place? I said, it's just this simple for me. And my identity, if you were to ask me, is I'm a powerful woman. And I can do whatever I want. I can, and I have done that every single day. I get feedback from clients and things like that. So, if you're talking about this, we're talking about things that also come along with it. Yeah, I would say I'm a powerful woman and then go cringe again and where does it come again? The fears. We go back. Why? Because somebody would have told me many years back, you know what? You're stepping into a man's domain. What are you doing there? We have a lot of that in India. At least I went through that when I was actively doing marketing and sales. You're in a man's domain. What are you doing there? There goes, done. I'm in a man's domain. And what? What am I going to? I couldn't do anything. So, with your permission today, I would like to run you through one exercise where we're going to be facing our fears because we are really short on time. We have 4 speakers. I'd like to quickly get into that. Would you all just sometime just let me do that, just a 2 or 3 minute exercise. Do I have your permission?
Yes.
Alright.
You have 5 minutes.
Sorry?
You have 5 minutes.
No, for this and then I'd like to wrap up. I love talking. The mic is here, I love talking. So that's the thing. So what I'd like you to do is just drop everything that you have on your table, your cell phones, your pens and everything. Right? You just make contact with Mother Earth. Right? So keep your feet firmly to the ground. If any of you would like to actually go barefoot, that'll be, you could do that. Yeah. Right. And just close your eyes. I want you to slowly focus on your breath. Take a deep breath in, a breath out. Another deep breath in, breathe out. I want you to take your focus right behind your eye. Feel that energy all over your forehead, just going down to your face muscles relax, your throat, your shoulders. Feel the calming energy. Go down to your torso, your stomach, your entire hands, down to your thighs, your knees, and to your feet. And you feel firmly grounded. Feel the connection with Mother Earth because she's there to protect you. And as you establish that connection, I want you to go back in time to the point of one fear that you've been wanting to face. Stand up to that fear. Go back to wherever that stopped. It could be somebody saying something to you. It could be that you have taken on a fear that became a belief for you, and you want to drop that fear, go back in time to wherever that is. And when you know that you found that fear, that time, stop right there. Look at that fear in the eye. Look at the people that said something to you. Acknowledge what you felt at that point of time. And when you have seen that, when you have looked it in the eye, when you have felt it there, I want you to tell the fear that you belong there, to that point in time. You've understood what that fear meant. You've learned something from that. And now you're ready to actually drop that fear there, just like you drop a Google pin. Just drop that fear there. And slowly, slowly, when you feel you're ready to let go, just move away from that. So far away that that becomes a distant memory for you. It belongs there in the past. It has no business to be in your present. Your present exists for you to make good choices for a wonderful future. So see yourself just moving away when it all blurs. And when you're ready to actually come back to the present, just move away and come back to where you are now. And feel your connection back to Mother Earth. If you felt that there was a change, thank your subconscious for that change. Thank it for the learning that it's offered you. At the count of 3, 2, 1, you can open your eyes. How did that feel for most of you? Was there something that you experienced? Anything that came out of it with a fear? Anybody? Anything that came out of it? Clarity? Anything else?
For me, it's like, the body, mind, linear relationship. I could really sense on that.
You could? That happens. See, that's nice. This exercise was more to tell you that fear belongs there and it has no business coming to where it is. Because if you're going to carry the baggage, fear is something that's going to be constantly there in your life. Because you will have people, you will have even yourself constantly convincing yourself of fear. It's a story that you tell yourself every time. Is it true? I don't think so. Just learn what it has to convey to you and then just move past it. Because it doesn't need to be carrying on like, an emotional baggage everywhere with you. We can convert all these, the fears actually become very strong beliefs. Like when I called when I took on the belief that I was ugly, I think that stemmed into every aspect of my life. I couldn't face people. I don't think I wanted to even meet people or have anything to do. I could not even stand on a stage until I was 30 years. I couldn't even hold a mic and talk to people. But here I am because I have worked internally. I have worked on myself. 30 years is a long time. I know I have kept myself away from myself because I never realized who I was until I stood my ground, faced my fear, and took on a new identity. What I was then and to today, I think I've worked along that journey. And like I said, recreating is all about this. I call it magic only because I know when I work with people on this, they say, oh, this triangle just works for me. And I said, okay, it works. So today when I take on this identity, it's me, it's my authentic self. and it helped me go inward, realize my true potential, which I was, like I said, I was hiding myself from everything and everybody, myself and the world. Believe that you have a lot to offer. A small smile, a small story has a lot to offer to this world. So create that identity, stand up to your fears, make that identity, and show the world who you really are. Show that to yourself and the entire world. So I hope this small presentation on what I talked helped. Thank you so much for having me here and listening to me. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
It was a wonderful, Anu, because you made us feel, hey beautiful, you rock the day. I hope we all rock the day every day. And it was a very good experience to learn, fight against the fear and identify yourself, which is very important for any of the sectors what we are working on or where we are living. And we'll pass on to the next speaker.
Hi friends, as I said, I'm Ridhi. I'm an astrologer, a fortune teller. And a lot of people come to me, with problems. Obviously, you visit a doctor when you're ill, so people come to me when they have problems only, right? And as I said earlier, right, that every one of us have their own shares of problems, and maybe different stages and different ages. Now today, as we're talking about recreating our identity, we all have a certain identity, and we all identify each other also with that identity. Like a friend, like this friend is very sweet as a person, or this friend is very grumpy as a person. We all typecast people with their identity. But what we're talking here is recreating that identity. As I talk about that, we all have problems. How we can tackle those problems in life by recreating identity. I'll give an example. Suppose you're lying on a floor with your head towards the ceiling, and there are 20 people surrounding you. How will those 20 people appear to you? Suppose you're lying on the floor and you're looking up at the ceiling, and the 20 people surrounding you. Right? How will those 20 people appear to you? They will appear big, gigantic to you, right? Isn't it? They'll appear big and gigantic to you. Now you stand up. Now how do they appear to you? No. They appear to you now. Now what has happened? Earlier there was breadth and width. We added another dimension to it called as length by standing up. We added height to it. So what happened? Things became normal. So this happens in life also. If we add another dimension to a problem, things become easy. Right? Like suppose somebody is chasing your car or somebody is honking. It happens very often in India, especially in a city like Delhi. There is a lot of chase, there is a lot of road rage. People really honk, people really chase. What happens? Somebody is really speeding and overtakes your car. What happens? What is your first reaction? You are irritated. You want to follow that guy, give a tight punch on his head, right? That is the first reaction. And you start following. 80% of the time you do this. You start following. Now what happens at this time when you're following that guy? You might hit somebody else. You might meet an accident which might hurt you. Now what is your identity here? Are you responsible? Are you being responsible? You are not being responsible. You are being the irresponsible person. This is what your identity here is. I'll explain this further. In life, how can you implement it and how it affects? Suppose you leave a child who's smiling in a room which is full of a lot of mirrors. The child sees those mirrors. He's smiling. He sees this mirror smiling back. He thinks there are other children who are smiling. What happens? He starts laughing. He sees other children laughing. He starts laughing more loudly. So what is his identity at that time? That of a happy and a joyful child. Right? Same thing, put it the other way around. A child is sad and you put him in a room full of mirrors again. Then he starts crying. He sees other children also crying. So what is his identity at that time? That of a sad and a crying baby. So that is what happens with us also in life when we are surrounded with problems. It is up to us that how do we recreate that identity in our lives. See, the outcome or the result of any problems is in our hands. And by recreation, what I mean by recreating identity, we have to keep doing it every time. It's not just once, It's not that, whatever we are born with, we are always like that. Like, in situations, don't we change ourselves? So similarly, with the identity also, we also have to always find the possibilities. That what are the possibilities to a particular problem that how we can tackle it. Like today only in the morning in WhatsApp, I got this message saying something about Einstein, that he had done a lot of research. And there was a fire in his lab. And the assistant comes and comes running to him and tells him, sir, there's a fire in the house. And he was having dinner with his family. So he was calm. The assistant expected that he'll panic or he'll be really worried that all his research work and everything is gone. So he was just relaxed. He told his son that please call your mother. Let's go and see the fire. She's never seen such a big fire in her life. The son was really shocked. He said he's lost it. All his research and everything is gone. And everything was worth some, the research and everything was to some $1 million. So he said he's lost all that money. Now, a normal person in that situation, what would have been his identity? He would have panicked. He would have started shouting. That is generally what we do. But then he added what I said in the beginning, adding another dimension to it. The problem is there, that we all face that problem. But if we add another dimension to it, we are able to, overcome that problem. So he was relaxed. He went, he saw whatever has happened. He started, he rebuilt everything, and he just lost $1 million in that particular year with his research and everything, doing it all over again with his positive attitude. He created $10 million in that particular year only. So what was that? That was recreating your own identity. Right? So what we take from here, what I tell my clients also, what I want to tell all of you also, that in life we will keep facing challenges, be it any stage, be it any age of life, but we have to recreate our identity always, and always remember that there is a possibility to every problem and to every situation. And again I repeat, the outcome or the result of any situation or any problem is in our own hands. And how we can do it? By recreating ourselves every time and every day. Thank you.
I like the way you just told us about instant, and it was really very good. And I hope it really helps a lot of us. And you said that overcoming of the problem is in our own hands. And I hope all of us will really agree to that. I'll pass on the mic to the next speaker.
I like to do this a little bit more casually, if that's fine with everyone. So, I'm not sure how the session works, simply because I think we were talking about launching, and then I think we can relate it to self-identity a little bit, there. And I had similar problems to Anu when I was much younger, and that's when I went to college, and I couldn't handle the pressure, and it was, I couldn't speak in public. I would just freeze, and that is something that I identified and kind of let go of, which allowed me to really explore a lot of avenues, and finally ending up launching my own company right after college and after my master's. So that has been quite a ride, and that's I think related to some. Sorry.
What is it?
Basically, I run a 360 brand management firm. So what we do is we, build brands in India as well as internationally. And we're, India is one of the first agencies to be associated with another partner firm in Paris and in London. So that has really, really worked well for us. I was working with Michael Kors here in Delhi, and I realized that brands and agencies to compete with, other international names in the market, they're running to about 5 or 6 different agencies to get their work done. And not even agencies, they're freelancers, and there's a whole bunch, there's a complete industry out of it. So I said, why not combine all of that and put it under one roof? And that, I got a lot of criticism when I started off, and they said, you can't do everything. So, but that worked, and we got a good response. So we have a good team, we handle we're all a lot into reputation management, a lot into marketing, a lot into building stories, if you may say. So it's been a ride, and it's been great. And I think to launch my company, one thing that really taught me was how I used to play golf throughout, when I was growing up, and that really gave me a lot of patience and a lot of determination and motivation to get up every morning and go at it. So that's about it. And any questions? Do you wanna go ahead first? Okay, we do it again.
See, first Anu said identity, then recreate identity, then create brand. Right?
I'm going to talk about launching then. Alright, So before, as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship and leaping up and starting up. And before I do that, I just wanted to know how many of you here have the aspiration of starting something of your own? So some of you have. So how many of you have already? Alright, and how many of you haven't and have the aspiration, as I said? Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people here. And so what's stopping you to do that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically I'm quite engaged with my current profession because I'm a public health specialist, so I'm a university teacher, and I have also some kind of social engagement with NGOs and forum, this and that like this. So I have a plan. I have already registered one organization inside me because I come from a very strong, long background of social sector management, NGO management. But I thought that at this point in time, when I'm almost in the middle age, I should think about my own creation. So I made a registered organization with thematic, everything clear in my head. But because of this professional engagement, I always plan to do this. Okay, next day.
So plan, but with caution. Okay, so you have a plan, but you're very cautious about it. How about any of you? Any other thoughts beyond that?
I'm trying to find an entity for this.
Okay.
You know, we had the social entrepreneurship, but I would love to make it a little bit bigger to incorporate more projects and also more countries.
Okay.
To make it global. So I'm trying to find a format for it.
So you have big dreams, but you don't know where to start.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
There's no big dream, it's just the format, you have to put it into a
So
business.
the structure is sort of, that's what you're struggling.
Not confident,
Okay.
that I'm always in support system.
Okay.
So whether I'll be able to start it now or not.
Okay. Will you be able to do it? Right. Okay. Any other thoughts beyond those three? Okay. So actually, no surprises. Those are typically the three reasons which stop us. One is comfort, where we are today and where we want to go, but we're just too comfortable. Okay. Second is whether it will work out. Right. That's the second one, whether it will actually work out. And the third is around whether I will be able to do it. So one is, on a large level, will my thought actually work out? Will it have a product market fit? Will people be willing to lap this up, etc.? And the third is do yourself. Will you be able to do this? With all of the multiple hats that we wear as women all the time, right? So that's precisely the three reasons that stops all of us. And I'd just like to spend some time on all those three because very important to understand before you leap up in terms of what stops you from leaping up. Okay? So comfort, in my mind, is extremely overrated because, imagine any big, any good thought rarely comes out of a comfort zone. Okay? The best comes out of us when we are actually driven. When we challenge ourselves every single day. That's when you see a change. That's when the best comes out of you. Okay, so jump all your comfort. Just keep that aside. Okay, because that's always your safety net. You can always drop. Consider it as something that's status quo that you can always come back to. But it's important if you want to do something, you've got yourself out of that comfort zone. Look at a challenge, whatever is actually driving you, and which just looks impossible. That's exactly what you have to try and do. Okay, so that's the first. That's the comfort. The second is whether this will work out. Okay? So whether this will work out is something which there is no answer to in terms of it may not work out. In a lot of cases it does not work out also. But what's the worst case that can happen? Again, you're back to whatever status quo is. You have your safety net always there. And the whole thing is look at yourself. I'm sure a lot of us here are mothers. When children do something new and it doesn't work out, do we ever tell them don't do this ever again? We never ever say that. Responsible parenting never says, you don't say, unless they're killing themselves, you never ever say, don't ever do this again. If it's something nice and something that they really wanted to do, which had an impact, which had a benefit, you would never ever tell them not to do it again. And that's the same application you have to apply to yourself. What if you fail? It doesn't really matter. How does it matter? Life is a lot more than that. In fact, in a lot of ways, it's an addition of failures that you have because the first time you fall, make sure the next time you do not repeat the same mistake. So you have to embrace your failures. You have to embrace the fact that you may fail. And most likely you will. But so what? What's worse is not trying at all. Right? So that's the second one. And the third is, will you be able to do it? Again, that's what all of these guys have spoken about. Because actually, will you be able to do it is an answer that you've got to try to be able to figure that out. Because ultimately, as human beings, we all have the power inside to be able to do what we want to do. as she said, as Anu said, I can do whatever I want. That's exactly what each of us has to believe, and it is actually true. How many of you have seen Bahubali? Okay. So, however, it may sound a little, but that's exactly, you have to create a distorted reality, if you may, because that's what you have to be. If you want to start up, and I'm really talking from experience, it is extremely intense. There is no two ways about it. It will push you in all directions. I have 2 children. I have, my husband is an entrepreneur, traveling for most part, handles his own company. He's not really involved in mine. I don't have a whole lot of money to kind of dig into. I don't come from any of those families or wealth that I've kind of accumulated over my years of working. But, every time somebody tells me you can't do this, I actually love that because I just want to do it. If somebody says, you cannot have a global company, if you want to sit out of home and work out of home, I say, yeah, what? I will create it. And, you can't be doing this, this is not how it works. Then I just take it upon myself. I love that because that's it. I mean, that's what I like to do. I like to keep challenging. I like to keep growing because that's what we all are about. We just, we have to be Bahubali. Okay? You don't have anything and you're kind of, yet you're invincible. Right? So and the entire power literally lies within you. So that's really about, self-identity. And, just to put it in perspective, I'm not really preaching here, but I just give you a little story about my history. So, so I started off at a very cushy job at American Express, and I was very inspired by the entire financial inclusion movement. Okay, so the entire microfinance institution framework is where I joined. So I used to have my office in Manhattan and here in one of these buildings in Gurgaon, and I just went down to the slums of Delhi, and that's what I wanted to do. And in that year, that was a very, very grueling year for me. I loved what I did. I was working out of the slums of, I don't think you've heard of places like Silampur and Simapuri, and that's where my offices were. And I set that entire operation up, but I had an issue because it wasn't scalable. And that's when the second idea came up about using mobile phones to actually do mobile money transfers, much like the M-Pesa model. And that's the company that I joined as a founding team member. And so that was my second leap of faith. It was just starting up and not something that was standard at all. And I joined them about 10 years back as a part of the founding team. And 8-9 years was extremely intense again. Working with regulators and a lot of stuff that we had to do to make it all work. And then I was kind of very overweight. I was 30-40 kgs overweight than what you see me today. 2 children, very tough, full-time job and all of the stuff together. And that's when I started to, really look at fitness very seriously. And I started to really go crazy to lose weight. That was determination. In a lot of ways, just kind of that's what the goal was, to lose weight and to get fit. And that's what I did along with everything else. But I did, because where you have a will, you find a way. That's the way it works always. And it's really that journey which, a lot of insights that came in is what I brought about into my current venture, which I started 2 years back. So it's kind of joining the dots where at the heart of it, I've been an entrepreneur. I have that startup experience, and there's a personal passion that I have towards health fitness now, and I understand the importance, like she said, golf and multiple other things. Every single morning I get out and I go challenge myself in whatever that is, swimming, running, jogging, and even doing a little bit extra just makes me believe I can do everything else, because that 1 minute of extra you feel you're going to die and you still survive. Okay, so I translate that back into my life and I see, I will survive and I will be able to do this. So that's what I urge you all to do. Be Bahubali. Those of you who haven't seen it, please see it. Okay? And and that's it. That's all that is to it. And at the end of the day, I may actually probably go back to working, because this may not work from a revenue perspective for me. I'm being very candid as well. So while I'm doing the startup that we wasted top 5 startups of last year and all of that, a lot of accolades have come in, but eventually it may not work out. And when I was starting out, a lot of people said, get the right advice, because if it doesn't work out, you will be distraught, you will be depressed. And I've heard a lot of people talk about how entrepreneurs today are the most depressed lot. But that's all nonsense, because it's all within you. If you choose to be depressed, you will be depressed. Whether you are an entrepreneur or not doesn't matter. Okay? So you've got the power within you, and use it to your advantage, to the world's advantage, to make this a better place. That's it.
The session started with an identity and ended again with an identity. Oh, all of you agree with me? Because we learned from two speakers, Anu and Meher. They said that they overcome their fear and today they are in front of us giving us a jnana. So that's a lovely thing. And of course I do agree that identify yourself, overcome your fear is very, very important. And if that idea does not work, don't quit there. Recreate your identity and create the brand, and do not wait to launch yourself. Try to be an entrepreneur at the earliest. Thank you so much. And anyone has a questions to a particular speaker, you can raise your hand and talk to them.
Thank you very much for the four of the speaker for enlightening us and re-energizing our mind. I'm sure that here, whoever we are, we all soul sisters, we have a lot of experience and recreation already been done in various stages, no? We have this experience, and thanks for giving such a good speech. I just want to share, just to compliment one thing, that it is so important that I feel, because I'm sure that every woman has a similar feelings like me, that at some point in your life, you have pain and pleasure every time when you pass through your life, no? It comes, alongside. But sometimes the pain becomes so enormous that really puts you down very much, and then it really helps you also to think beyond the box, to explore more of deeper and deeper side inside you, and you really recreate yourself. So sometimes this pain is a push for yourself, and you recreate, and then you grow, and then you re-energize yourself, and you make a new type of move in your life. So this is one of the thing I think it is like a part of life. Sometimes some of the women or man, even a man also, when they cannot manage inside of that energy to revive, then just that's setback them, and they become depressed, and then they have to go to the doctors or counselor or whatever. But to my understanding, I'm a doctor by myself, I'm a public health person, but I've seen many kind of a social group in the community, poor people, poor women, dealing with them. I've seen when I'm in the university at the moment, teaching public health, I found the students of variety, master's students of very genuinely, calibered, and undergraduate students, very aspirational with their dream. So, diversity of the people management, when I have gone through in my life, I realized one thing very strongly, that the counselor is you. You are the best counselor inside you. And if you can explore yourself as a counselor inside you, that will make you much more successful in your life. So when you are depressed, sometimes we go, like when you have a fever, we go to the doctor. When you're mental, like a little bit of depressed down, you go to the counselor. How much the counselor can help you in your life? They just can facilitate a little bit of your process. But if you become an internal counselor by yourself, so you can really manage your internal things in your walkway of life. And so that's why I'm telling everyone should be a good counselor by ourselves to become successful. Thank you.
Can I add to that? So when she was talking about pain and pleasure, it's like, the balance, it's like one hand pain, the other hand pleasure. As much as we learn a lot from the pain that we go through our lives. But there's a point in time, I guess it's very important to know, okay, I've learned my lesson from there, and it's time for me to move towards the pleasure. And that is when you evolve from that. Otherwise, you're going to be dabbling so much with that, and somehow you end up taking on the role of a victim, and you start to see yourself as a victim. So once you know, consciously you decide, okay, I have learned something from there. It's time for me to step out of that, and like you said, moving out of the comfort zone. Because nothing grows in that comfort zone. It's very nice. It's a garden which is just going to wilt away one fine day. And I guess when you start moving towards pleasure, you start to become more clearer within, and that's when you start to explore yourself from within. And you realize you're not just capable, but you jump that notch higher to actually realize your potential, and that's very important. It's It's never to stay, because comfort zone keeps you only at your, lets you operate at your capacity. But what lies outside of your comfort zone makes you realize your potential, and that's that gap is something. Take that step. I know I did that. I was doing this quite some time. You just go there, keep your foot there, and no. Yes, you do get goosebumps all the time. But when you jump, yes, you fall, you fail, you bruise. There are a lot of heartbreaks. There are terrible failures. There are people saying, "See, I told you." And well, I guess I just shut that. Just listen to that voice that came from within, and said, "I don't care." So I'm going to say this one line, okay, which I forget to mention at that time. It's not important. What people say about you is their business. But what you say about yourself is your business. So just learn to listen more to yourself. Forget the world. They have things to say about. So that's, thank you.
Sorry, if you want to say something.
I had a question. I can just talk,
Yeah, sure. I was just adding to what she said.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question for whoever would like to answer it. As all of you are so positive and you've accomplished so much, and I think a lot of people in this room as well, what do you do in the rare occasion when, whether it's a client or a friend who chooses to stay stuck and say mean things about herself when she knows better? What advice would you give to me on how to deal with that type of a person?
It's a good one. Yeah.
Your question was that, if you feel mean about yourself or you feel a little low or depressed about yourself?
Somebody else?
Well, when other people are and
come to us,
and when they come to us, to you for help, and they refuse to change, but they keep wanting help. So,
as I said about the recreation, about recreating your identity, and even what was the name, ma'am? Dr. Nazreen. Even she said about depression. That there are times when people are depressed, or there are times when we succumb to pressures, or we are not able to face a situation or handle a situation. Here again, I repeat the same thing as I said earlier, that you have to recreate your identity always. You cannot be the same throughout your life, and there is a lot of potential within you. Right?
Yes.
Like I gave an example where you're lying, on the floor, those things appear, the people around you appear very big to you. So that, what I was trying to say through that was about the problems in our life. There are times when they appear very big to us, but when we add that another dimension to it, like we add that height to it, when we stood up, we found those people as, as big as you are, So when we add another dimension to a problem, then we find the solution.
okay.
Right? So it is like somebody who comes to me, with a problem, like obviously people come to me with problems only.
Of course.
Right?
Yes.
Right? It's my kind of profession, people come to me with problems only. If they don't call me for long, I tell them, okay, that means everything's right. Fine with you. That's why you're not calling me. Right? So people come to me with problems only. So when they come to me with problems, my job is to show them the right kind of, direction, or help them recreate their identity, help them realize the potential that they have within them, or show them the problem with a different angle altogether. When your outlook or when your angle changes, the problem goes automatically.
Lily, I also need to ask you.
Yeah.
Even in this topic.
Absolutely.
You know what? I was really going to share this in fearlessness. Whatever, generally what happens is our fear manifestation always stays. If we are fearing something, and what most of the astrologers do, they make you fear all the more.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
So generally, and what you visualize, what you fear, it always manifests. It comes right in front of you.
Absolutely.
Okay? So let me just finish. So, and I was one person who was very regular and just out of fear. कि आज नहीं गई मैं. It is pretty distant from my house. I used to go to Jhandewala Mandir every day. Then I was like going to an astrologer, doing his wires on a regular basis, and I was like, so sorry, please, I don't want to talk about any profession as such, but then generally, that's a general, generally most of the astrologers will put fear in your mind.
Okay, can I answer?
ये हो जाएगा, राहु ऐसे हो जाएगा,
Can I talk about
शनि
it?
आठ हो जाएगा.
Yeah. Firstly, what's your name?
I'm Charu.
Yeah, Charu. Okay, Charu. Firstly, you have to say sorry because that is a perception about astrology that has been happening.
That is actually happening.
That is actually happening. Yes, that's actually happening. To all my friends who are not from India, in India, astrology is it's a science. Let me tell you firstly, it's a science. Astrology was written some 5,000 years back, right? And it works on a very scientific basis. But then within past, say, I would blame it last 30 years, 30 or 40 years, it has got a very, very bad reputation. Why? First reason, it has become very commercial. Right? Although I'm sorry we're going away from the topic, it's recreating. I've come to my topic, astrology, but I hope it is one topic which fascinates everybody and everybody needs to know. Right? Answering to Anu's question. So it has got a very bad reputation. Firstly is commercialization. Everybody wants to, extract more and more money. Now what is the best way of extracting more and more money? Inculcate fear in a person. How would I get a client regular to me unless I tell him everything is going to be alright? I remember there was this client of mine to whom he was fighting a court case, and I told that gentleman that within June, there was a particular time frame I gave him. I said by this time things will be alright. He said, do I do this? Do I do, like he specifically quoted, do I do Savalak Mahamrityunjay? I said, you do it. So I was very casual about it. I said, if you want to do it, you do it. So he went and told his daughter, this gentleman was a doctor, qualified doctor. He went and told his daughter that she's a useless astrologer, she doesn't tell any advice. Qualified doctor, educated person is coming there. Right now I met this lady, she said my husband is wearing a diamond in the right ring, right hand. Should he wear in the left hand? I said, see, stones could only change destiny, then everybody would have been wearing stones. I don't wear stones, neither do I recommend.
I saw it.
Right? See, yes, not just stones, even the upayas, like somebody, I had a friend who had some skin problems, so astrologer in Delhi said, go in Yamuna and feed the fishes. That Yamuna is so polluted that, where do you find the fishes? I mean, talk logic, and that lady was going and doing it. So that is what, when we talk about recreating, so please remove that fear, like, all of us talked about it. You have to remove that fear from within. But, what you're saying is a very big, in my talks, when I do my talks, I talk about this only. Let's say astrology is a science, and please take it as a science, please take it as a guideline. Whatever has to happen, will happen. Nobody and nothing can change it. An astrologer is a normal person, he is no god. By saying that doing this will change the situation altogether, no, it will not happen.
But I'm so sorry to say, by knowing the unknown, you know what, you sometimes tend to just think and visualize. Suppose somebody, right, this year, particular year, somebody told us that you are going to face this problem. And so far, as of now, I've been negated, no, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. And it didn't.
Right.
And the more I think about it, the more power I'm giving it.
Correct. Absolutely. See, another thing, I can have a one-to-one conversation with you, I can talk about this, but one thing I will tell which will benefit everybody, see, as I said, whatever has to happen will happen, nothing and nobody can change it. But then comes the question, then why do we go to an astrologer? Why do we need a fortune teller? If everything is going to happen, then what are you doing, madam? What are you, qualified as an astrologer? What are you doing as a speaker? Well, an astrologer is a guideline. Astrology is a guideline. I can just guide you. See, this period is going to be bad for you or this period is going to be good for you. I cannot change it by saying, okay, this period is bad, you do this and it will turn into a good period. No. It's like preparing yourself so that, and like we have some certain chanting mantras that we chant and all that we generally tell as upayas. Now, what are those mantras? Mantra is also science. Though mantras are positive vibrations which help us prepare the situation to take the situation better. It is not by chanting a particular mantra the situation will not go altogether. It is just that I will become that strong or that powerful that I am able to face the problem. That's it. Right? So please take astrology, to everybody here, to please take astrology as a science and as a guideline. Not as a thumb rule that if an astrologer has said this, it is going to happen like this only. No. So here, as you joined in late about recreating your identity, this is also one of the aspects, that you have to recreate your identity. You have to give it a different dimension. Don't just get stuck to it, oh, Pandit ji ऐसा कि ये तो मांगलिक है तो इसके साथ ऐसा होगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा. Yes. And you want a reassurance, somebody has said good, you go for a matching of horoscope for marriage, somebody said कि नहीं, but you are very keen कि यहाँ शादी हो, किसी करें इस पर्टिकुलर दूसरे के पास, so you want that reassurance, you want that self assurance, that is why you going.
Whatever you want to hear.
Whatever you want to hear, you want the other person to speak. Right? So it is this.
We insisted.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, if you have any questions for a particular speaker, you can take it offline.
Yeah, I'm just going to say one thing. At the risk of sounding very nasty, I'm going to tell you this. If anybody tries to create fear within you, that person has no business being in your life. I'm going to say this to you. I say this to each person, my friend, my family, my clients. I don't know why they do that. It's like you were saying, weak mind. Either you serve your mind or the mind serves you. It's something. You want to be the slave or the mind actually becomes your slave. Now that's a choice that you have to make. So when we're talking about a weak mind and somebody influencing you and things like that, I feel you're giving the power to them to work on you. So you take your life into your hands. You take your mind into your hands. It's that simple. So if somebody is trying to instill fear, keep them away. Very sad I'm saying that whoever it is, it's very sad that, maybe a very, please, yes. So they have no business being in your life. Thank you all so much for this. It was nice having you with this. Thank you.
Round of applause for all the speakers. They were wonderful. Can I request the photographer to kindly take a picture of all the speakers?
Yeah, then mix this. But I know my friend Maria set you free, for instance.
That's very nice.
No, she's a Polish. Yeah, Maria is I'm from Sweden too, so she's not very nice.
There's another girl who's Polish English.
If you have questions,
I will check the agenda.
Yes.
Are you I will be happy to Maria from Sweden, and she's going to speak on how truth can set us free.
Same, truth will set you free. Unknown. I have another session.
Okay, thank you so much.
हाँ बिल्कुल ऑन नहीं किया ना
Wow. Thank you for coming here. Please take your seat. I have my little fan club here. Okay, very warmly welcome to this session about the truth will set you free. I'm delayed in more clothes because I got rid of my baggage, and hopefully it will arrive soon. But there is something to learn here, what it means to be really naked. And I'm going to tell you a story from the Zen Buddhist tradition, where we actually can learn a lesson. A senior monk and a junior monk, they are traveling together. And at a point they come to a river. And at the edge of the river there is this beautiful young lady sitting. And she is in tears because she wants to cross the river, but she's too afraid. She asks them if they can help her to cross the river and get over to the other side. The two monks, they glanced at each other because they had taken a vow not to touch a woman. And then, without a word, the older monk, he takes her in his arms and carries her over the river and places her gently on the other side. And then he continued his journey. And the young monk, he's shocked, speechless. He couldn't believe what just happened. 1 hour goes. Nobody is saying anything. 2 hours pass. Still not a word. And then 3 hours. And the young monk laughed. As monks, we're not supposed to touch a woman. And you carried her in your arms. The older monk replied, Brother, I left that woman on the other side of the river. Why are you still carrying her? So there is something from this story that we can learn. First, to be in the power of now is something that we have to practice. And it actually requires something from us, that we have the capacity to be able to catch ourselves of our thoughts. The other thing is, at the same time, you're catching yourself in your thoughts and becoming capable of expressing them. You actually are setting yourself free. Maybe this young monk was feeling itchy, grumpy, embarrassed, confused. But it took him 3 hours to really speak his feelings.